All right, everybody, welcome back to Soundwell Guitar. I'm just doing a quick video wanting to talk about something that I've never tried before in all my years of playing guitar, and that is 8-gauge strings. I've got a whole collection of guitars behind me, as you can see. A whole variety of them, classical guitar with nylon strings, usually high tension. I've got my 3 Paul Reed Smiths, not this one, 3 other Paul Reed Smiths that I use in my band Beastface that I have set up with 10s to 52s. We're going rather heavy there because it fits the style. My Jazz Arch Tops with their heavy tension strings. I've always, whenever it comes to experimenting with different gauge strings, it's always been my custom to keep going heavier and heavier, bigger tone, kind of like what Stevie Ray Vaughan always recommended doing. Okay, it's kind of like, I guess, the reason why I never thought of going the other way, it's almost as if like, it was like a macho or ego thing, like, oh, you always go heavier, you never go lighter. Like if you say you went to the gym and you saw Arnold Schwarzenegger benching, but the dude was only benching like 80 pounds. You'd be like, what? It's Arnold, man. I thought he'd be benching like 500 pounds. What is this? And I think I kind of had that mentality a little bit when it came to the gauge strings. Like, well, I'm never going to play on 9s or 8s because that's for wimps or something. I don't know. It's just stupid. It's really stupid. Okay, so I decided to try 8s because there was an interview not that long ago on the Rick Beato channel with Paul Gilbert. Paul Gilbert's one of my favorite rock players. Such a great technician, great musician, and he confessed that he played on 8s. So it was kind of like, to me, thinking, it like messed with my head, like that'd be like Arnold Schwarzenegger only benching like 100 pounds. Well, no, he's such a great player. I thought there must be something to it. It's not just about, oh, they're easier to play, my fingers are weak. That's the last thing I would think about Paul Gilbert, is that he's weak and that he has to be on light gauge strings. It must have something to do with a certain tone and a certain like response that the guitar gives. And I thought, well, I've never tried it. So when I started to hear more and more that I looked into it, actually. I just looked into it and found out like Eddie Van Halen played on 8s. And then there were a few others. Some were like 9s, like Dimebag Darrell was on 9s. But these like really like monsters in like metal and rock were playing on lighter gauge strings. So I had to give it a shot. I set this particular PRS up with the 8-gauge strings. I don't really play this one much. It's a beautiful guitar, but I've never really connected with it. Truth be told, it was a gift from an ex. Enough said, right? Okay. So I put some 8s on it, and the results were really interesting. I found that initially when I was trying to play that the strings kind of worked against me. Like when I'm trying to like play fast, it was just almost too responsive. It reminded me of the first time that I got when we had the old flip phones and they had the QWERTY keyboard. There was actual buttons. And then switched over to a touch screen and there's not any buttons. It's just, you could just see buttons, but they weren't real. I'm like, there's no buttons, I can't feel them. That's what this felt like when I got on it. I'm like, I can't feel the strings. I can't feel them. Like, there's not much resistance. If you can see with what ease I'm bending those with, and kind of almost at risk of bending too high, and they're just like vibrato. It's just like boing, like a spring. So initially when I was on them, I found myself struggling getting the tone that I wanted because I was just playing too hard. And after a while, I realized if I relaxed more, and if I was just gently playing and just barely touching the strings, I started to get the sound that I wanted. I still am struggling a little bit, but it's been a very, very interesting experiment. So far, I've just been playing a lot of those rock and metal chops. But like you get on it and just do other styles. Whoops. It's just very twangy. It's just a very different feel and a very different sound. So you kind of heard me demo just kind of like the metal sounds, and then this like clean tone sound, even like see. That's like even feels really weird doing that kind of thing. Anyway, so like I said, just a quick video talking about my new experience with playing on 8-gauge strings. These are addario XL 8-gauge, and but this is part one of 2 videos because this inspired me. Since I was really enjoying the feel of the 8-gauge strings, I kept looking down at this guitar and being reminded of my ex and thinking, man, this thing needs another sweater, so to speak. I just want to be looking down and seeing something that's not this when experiencing the 8-gauge strings, because I decided I want to have one guitar in my collection that's always set up with 8-gauge strings, so that for like 80s shred type stuff. And I thought, well, what would be the most ideal guitar to get for that gauge? And I thought, I've never had a signature guitar before, like a signature guitar, you know, like an Eddie Van Halen guitar or a Dimebag Darrell guitar. Okay, never bought one of those, and I decided I'm going to get a signature guitar from one of the 80s shredders that I grew up really loving. And when it comes, it's been shipped today. It's on its way. I'm going to be doing an unboxing video. I'm not going to say whose signature guitar it is. You're just going to have to stay in tune for the next video and find out what it is. Thanks for watching. Okay, you can't. No, I don't want you in the video.